Hey crafters, happy Halloween and welcome to my channel. I'm Jen and today we are celebrating the Witch's New Year by making some more cards, mainly using Tim Holtz's Idea-ology products. So warm up your witch's brew and let's get to card making. Now before I begin, I'd like to point out my Halloween costume. I have a feeling like most of my Halloween costumes, I'm going to be switching into something more comfortable about halfway through the evening. So I pulled out most of my Idea-ology products except for Christmas and a few other things. And I'll post a clip here to show you what that looks like. I think my husband had a mild heart attack when he saw it. But what I did was I went through many of the bags and pulled out things that could work. I have, I think 6 cards here. It might be more, and I don't know if I'll actually get to that, but my goal here is to see if the things that I pull together will work without having to go back through some of my other things, or at least very minimally. So let's start with the cards that I think that I'm going to add some texture to, and that way they can dry. So I'm going to move all of this over here. Try to keep them in some order. Okay, for this first card, I am going to add some black opaque texture paste. And I'm using this stencil called Batty from Simon Says Stamp. I need to put some saran wrap or press and seal in this so that it doesn't dry out, because I know that I probably won't be using this again for a while. Now I'm going to I can just take this nail and scrape that off. Never the wiser. And while that dries, I'm going to work on this part. This is the Tim Holtz cardstock, and I'm just going to distress it. This is a sanding pad. But I'm going to let this dry, and I'm going to work on the next card. Alright, now I pulled a whole bunch of stuff for this one. Definitely using this, and I have this matted. It's already on a low loft foam tape, and I'm just thinking something like this guy is definite. So let's take this up. I'm going to put some anti-static powder in it. For the baseboards, whether they're the sentiment strips or they are the frames, I do take a few layers off before gluing them down. I'll come back and add embellishments later on. I'll try to do that with all of the cards at the same time. For now, I'm ready to move on to that first card that we started. Alright, the texture paste is dry. First, I'm going to adhere these two together. And this is another baseboard that I've cut down so it's not so thick. I don't know if these are Idea-ology or not, though. I've had them for a while. But I'm going to... Oh, you can't even really see those stars. I mean those bats. Probably should have tested that. I also have these. I'll go around. I'm going to keep this thickness. I'm going to keep the glue close here because I'm going to come around and I'm going to prop her up with some foam tape behind it. So I just want to get her inside the frame. I'm using a higher loft, and I'm doing that because I want to be able to see the bats slightly from underneath. So the higher the dimension, the more you'll be able to see inside. Where are my scissors? Now I could take a clue from this, and this is, I made this last year, and it stands up like that. It turns on. There's a little, I don't know if you can see that, the little skeleton hanging, and in it I've used a grit paste and went around the frames and then inked them, and then with this one I used the black grit paste and just kind of muddied it up. Ooh, I could also do flowers. I pulled some. Let's see. Any inspiration? See, here's another one where I put grit paste. I just kind of dabbled it all around. Not all of this is Idea-ology. But I like to read The Raven every year on Halloween. And then mushroom and a pumpkin. I'll turn it on. Let's see if I can do it with these nails. Do this. So that's the inside, and then that's the inside, and that's the outside. And then, like I said, it just sits up like that. And then I attached it just with, oh, I lost a pumpkin. Oh no. Let's put the drawer back in. There we go. I forgot what I was saying. Oh, so I attached the spine. This is just some of the fabric from Tim Holtz. And let's get this up. And so on the inside, I created like a book binding. Oh, you can't really see it on that side. But the question was, should I put some grit paste on it? I don't know. I can't decide. Alright, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to glue this down because I have a couple other ideas. do I want to do something like that? And maybe put some flowers around it? I'm going to take this paper off because I'm going to dye this. I'm just pouring out some distressed mica spray in empty tube. And see what I can do to kind of distress this a little bit. I'm just going to sit right on top, or is it going to absorb? I don't know if you can see that. So it's more distressed. And it's taking away that shininess. Now it's still there. There's still shine, especially because of the mica spray, but it's toned down for sure. And so I'm going to let that dry for a second, and then I am going to put bats. I need more bats. I'm going to use the collage. The first two cards took a long time, but for the remaining cards, I have a really good idea of what I want to do, and it also involves less textures and additional embellishments, so it's really just a matter of gluing the pieces together. This rat that she's holding, by the way, comes from the Wicked Vault collection by Sizzix, Tim Holtz also. I'm also using this green webbing kind of texture paper. It's from a paper pack that I got from Amazon. I will link that below. I don't have a name for it. While I was waiting for the glue to dry for card number 3, I started card number 4 using the background that I had created earlier in the season, and I'm just gluing on the 31. And with the ghosts, I have actually 3 layers because I wanted them to be super thick. I have the holographic, 2 holographic sheets and 1 thick black cardstock for the ghosts. And the reason for that is that I think I've discovered a new technique to create spinner cards, and it's using they're little charms for your nails that create the charms to spin on top of your nails. And I came across these, and I'm using those to glue onto the card base and the ghost, and then they will create a spinning. Now, I have not tested these. I do not know if they will hold up in the mail, but this is just pure experimentation. And with the cards that I'm making today, I'm doing some hand delivering, so that shouldn't be a problem with them holding together. But I will keep you posted on whether or not they make the journey through the mail. This card comes together rather easily in that I'm not doing much additional work other than assembling, but it still takes me quite a bit. This is a sped up version of my indecisiveness. Now you know I couldn't resist making another spinner card, so using the same technique, I applied it to this card. I did wait a little bit longer for it to dry before testing it out. Now I probably should have stopped at the last spinner card, because this is where I start making some mistakes, or at least making decisions that I ultimately did not like, or I had to go back and change. Now, I just put on the Distress Spritz in Weatherwood, but the decision for me to add the orange mica spray was not my favorite. One way that I corrected my mistake was by going back and adding 2 more layers of the gray frame, just to make it more like an inset and to cover up some of that mica on the frame. It was just a little too much. I needed some kind of separation. All right, let me know what you think in the comments. Otherwise, I hope you have a fun and safe night. Happy Halloween. And I'll see you next week for Christmas. We're jumping right in, and we're going to take that for most of the next month or so. So let's get ready. Have a good one, guys. See you next week.